I'm really excited for today. So, guys, we're going to be talking about marketing with the wonderful Jen Fieldman. Jen, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and who you serve?
Sure. So, hello, I'm Jen. I am a marketing strategist for female entrepreneurs, really helping them with marketing strategies that are smart and simple to execute so they can have a consistent stream of clients. I have only been doing this a little over a year. I actually spent about 18 years in corporate and every type of ad marketing agency possible, and then decided that I was tired with that and wanted to help other women just after finding the joy I had running my own business.
Yeah, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, today we're going to be addressing the shitstorm that is going on in the world. And there's kind of, I've been seeing a lot of just questions in other groups. And I think it's a valid question of what do I do if I'm not necessarily directly impacted by what's going on? So, like, if you don't, for us who we primarily do business online, so there wasn't a huge transition, to move from a brick and mortar into online. But I've just been seeing a lot of questions about, okay, I'm a business owner. How do I operate in this space? So, where would be the best place to start? It's a loaded question.
It's a super loaded question. I'm actually going to start with something that you have said to me quite a bit, which is give yourself some grace during this time. So there's so much going on. There's so many comments and opinions about what you should be doing. And I try to take a no should allowed in my own business and what I talk to my clients about. And there's kind of two things I've seen. One, if you don't feel like selling, that is okay. There's a lot of people who say, no, you should absolutely be selling right now, but you really have to, in my opinion, just be aligned with how you feel. That said, the other token is you don't have to be afraid to sell in this time. I think what I have counseled some others on, and my philosophy has really been think about who your audience is and where they are right now. So a lot of us tend to target other business owners and other online business owners, but they might have spouses or significant others who maybe are concerned about losing their jobs. So it can be, I would call it business as usual, but gentle. Don't be tone deaf. A lot of the things I'm seeing out there are people recognizing that this is a challenging time. And so that is what I would recommend. That's my ramble for right now. But you can still sell your products. You can still sell your business. It's okay. As you sent to me yesterday, Kelly, there is a great case study about General Motors and how they ran a huge ad 2 weeks after 9/11. And it was very polarizing, but they came back and said, look, it's important to us to keep our employees working to stimulate the economy, and it did help. So I think in this point, I would say give yourself some grace. If you don't want to sell, don't. And if you do, that's okay. Just try not to be tone deaf right now.
Yeah, that's such a good point, too. Yes. And I think to that perspective of, well, let me ask you this question. How do you decide, what advice would you give to the folks who are like, fuck, I don't know, like if this is a good, I don't know if I should be selling or not. And they're kind of in this space of, or not even just selling, but just marketing. I think something that I've been struggling with is even like, what do I write on Instagram, or, what should I send in my weekly email newsletter? And kind of to the folks that you want to stay relevant and seen, but how do you talk about what's going on and straddling that line of not being tone deaf, but also realizing that, hey, we have to stimulate the economy and things need to keep moving.
Absolutely. No, that's a great thing. So I went through that. I spent about the last weekend and even the first, I don't even remember what day it is, even Monday and Tuesday, kind of like, what's happening? Thinking about that. And so I would say start with, if you're feeling undecided, start with providing value. What can you be doing now to help your audience, right? So how can you provide value? For me right now, a few weeks ago, I was talking about marketing audits, trying to understand challenges and pain points for my audience. And now I'm talking about, okay, how can we think about your marketing now? And how can we provide value now? And how can we think about what's coming? So, there are some people, a group I'm in, there was a realtor who was just like, what am I supposed to do? Right? Like, people aren't going to buy a house right now. And so some of the things that I suggested were, are there things you can do taking into account someone who might have been interested in buying a house or selling a house, even a week ago? What are some things you could be doing now to help them prepare or think about it? Can you be talking to them about how to get your house ready to sell? Or can you talk about, for the buyers, things to look for in a realtor? So I would say start with just providing some value out there to your audience. The other thing I would say is, are there things that you can shift in your product suite? So can you be offering maybe a lower investment product, right? So let's say for me right now, I'm not necessarily talking to people unless they want to about a comprehensive marketing strategy. It's more like, hey, I have an intensive, it's 90 minutes. We can get on the phone, we can get on Zoom and just talk through what you're going through and how we can think about your marketing now and how to set up for the future. And I think the setup for the next chapter is you have to at least keep the lights on.
Yeah.
And you want to still stay relevant. So it's about, so that's why I say start with providing value, because if you're feeling unsure, then you're not going to show up confidently in your marketing. So think about value, think about other things you can offer, things like that. And then for me, at least, the shift started to happen. And even, yesterday's video with Brooke about how to get unstuck. I think if you can at least come from that place of service and value, it's going to make you feel better. And you're going to start to see, too, how your audience is responding.
That's such a good point, too, of I feel like I kind of operate, and I know you do as well, our business like this always, and that's what you teach and that's what I teach, of we should always be starting with service and how can we serve. And I think the big lesson that I've been seeing a lot is that philosophy and that idea is starting to come to the forefront, and because that's all you can do, in a situation like this when there's a lot of external things going on, and you go to help. There's that Mr. Rogers quote of, look for the helpers. And that's, as business owners, we have such a great opportunity to be helping now. And it sounds like, if I'm understanding you and kind of what you're recommending, is the best way to weather this storm is to help and to serve, so that when we get to the other side, we're still at the forefront and we've spent the last week, 2 weeks, or month, or God forbid, couple of months, serving others. Yeah. And then when people are ready to start buying again, we will be at the forefront.
Absolutely. And even my coach, because I need coaches, everyone needs coaches, I think. It's helped me, but even she pivoted. And coaches have coaches. So she did a pivot right now, or it wasn't even a pivot. She actually had an inspiration and came up with this entire new program that's super low investment. It's like monthly sort of group coaching, but it's for a super cheap price, and just to kind of help her audience, women entrepreneurs, but like help us weather the storm and she was talking about leaders, and this is a time when leaders will emerge. And I think for someone who's stuck, one of the things that comes up, and I've heard this from a few people I've talked to, and I went through it myself, is we feel bad sometimes, or you may feel bad. There are people who are like, nope, I'm selling and it's great, and more power to you. But for those who feel a little uncertain, we feel bad because it's like we don't want to take advantage of a huge issue, right? We don't want to take advantage of a crisis that's facing the world, country, but at the same time, people are going to look for help. They are going to look for leaders. And for a lot of us, now is also a great time to just invest in our own business. And how can we really be, if we don't feel comfortable, maybe that's another thing for someone who doesn't feel comfortable marketing or selling right now. Like, what can you be doing for your business? What can you be doing that you've put off? It's almost like for all the people who've put off organizing their homes, this is gonna, this is gonna turn them into it, because they're gonna be looking at their chaos for a couple weeks. So I'd say that's another piece, is it's okay to show up now, and it's okay to be a leader, and that is going to serve both your audience and you so much better. And like I said, the next chapter, and I just refuse to believe it. Months.
Yeah, we can't. It's so funny that you say that. I was just writing my email newsletter that's going out tomorrow, and that was the whole theme of it. Like, now, we can choose to see now as an opportunity to really step up for our business and our brand and emerge as a leader for our community that we're building and that we have. You mentioned that like now's a really great time to be working on our business. Do you have any recommendations for what people could be doing from a marketing aspect right now if they need to, kind of clean house, but in their business and specifically in their marketing?
Absolutely. I have a lot. I try not to ramble. So there's a couple of things. So I'm going to bring up things that have come up with some of my clients. One, somebody asked me the other day, how do I know what my money making activities are? And I was like, well, that is a really great question. So the thing I would start with, and this is what I start with my one-on-one full strategy clients, is we do an audit. So I would say start with an audit and look at your marketing and look at a few different things. Look at where you're getting your leads from. So where do you get the most from? Look at where you're not getting leads. Are you doing things that aren't doing it for you? So, are you on a social platform that you feel like you should be on and you're not doing it, right? No,
that never happens.
It comes up all the time. And I this will be polarizing, but like I cringe sometimes when I'm in some of the Facebook groups or other groups and people have a question about where they should show up, and someone says, go to Instagram. And I'm like, no, don't go to Instagram unless your audience is on Instagram.
Yes.
So I would start with an evaluation. So I would look at where you're getting leads from, where you're not, because if you're not getting leads from something, don't do it. And then I would start really looking at your audience and saying, okay, where are they? Where do I think they are now? What do I think they need now that I can think about? So I kind of mentioned that already. And then another thing you can be looking at is like how singularly focused is your message. So this is a super hard one for a lot of us, even when I talk to other marketing people. But is your message clear? And this is in, any bio that you have, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, your website. If I go to your website, pointing at my second screen, do I know right away what you do? Do I know right away what you do and who you serve? Can I self-select into what you're doing? Or am I thinking, well, I don't really know. I guess I have to keep scrolling. Like, what can you do to make it very clear at the start? Which is something I'm also working on right now.
It's a constant.
We all do it, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but look at what you're doing and looking at if your message is singularly focused. I think a lot of things I've been seeing too lately, sort of prior to this, is are you, excuse me, are you focusing too much on you versus your client versus your audience, right? For those who've read StoryBrand, right? Are you making your customer your hero? And, you know, you and your brand and your business are absolutely important to a client, but they're not the most important thing. They want to know first and foremost that if they work with you, they're going to be successful. So I would look at, again, so not in a formatted list, but right, I'd look at, I'd audit where you're getting leads from. I'd audit and think about who your audience is and if they've had any changes with this. I would look at your website and all your communications and make sure that it is just super clear. You know, now might be a time to where it's time to learn analytics. I know that makes everybody want to vomit, but except for me because I'm a nerd about it. But you know, now's the time to think about like, okay, I don't want to scroll Instagram all day, so let's figure out what my insights say and how can I maybe tweak my strategy or think about things differently. So I guess it's audit and do reviews, and you don't have to. Sorry, you don't have to stop, right? Like I fully, okay, so the Jen Fieldman philosophies, there's no shoulds allowed. And the other thing is progress, not perfection, which I'm the worst at myself. But you don't have to like stop putting content out there and stop marketing yourself just because you're making some changes. I think this week, so bad. This week, I think I changed my Instagram bio 3 times. 3 times. Just because nobody notices but me. But and that's the thing. No one notices these little things but you. So that's what I would do. I think it's a good time. So keep talking, keep being out there, keep the lights on. But also like look at what's going on and look at your marketing and what's been successful and what hasn't. And it's okay if it hasn't. Cut it out. You don't need that.
Yeah. Such a great time too, I think, to your point of using the potential free time that we have now to just go through and figure out what is working and getting really clear on that. And I think it goes back to what we had originally said before of figuring out what value you're providing. And when you can understand where you best show up, the value that you will provide will go that much further and make that much more of an impact and an influence on your community. So let's say we look at our analytics and do that big scary thing. We do an audit and then we realize, okay, like we understand what's working and what's not. Do you recommend that people, and it sounds like I think you do, just based off of what you said about your Instagram bio of just experimenting, but of like what kind of things could people start experimenting with? Is it like switching out stuff on their website, or would you recommend doing more like experimental messaging on your social media?
I think yes. I think some of it is yes, you can experiment anywhere. I mean, test and learn is something that a lot of people talk about, people that are very successful. And I also said to people, you're not going to kill your business or your marketing if you put a message out there and it doesn't resonate. So,
could you say that one more time?
Yeah, sorry. So
I think it's worth repeating.
You will not kill your business if you try a message and it doesn't work or people don't respond. So, and the one like asterisk is unless you put something like horribly racist or ranty out there, and then we might need some crisis management. But there you go. Yeah. You're not going to do it. So let's say the worst thing that happens is you post something and people and it doesn't just have to be posting content, but I know a lot of in the online space, social media is a huge marketing platform. So That's where a lot of women business owners are, at least for my audience, right? So let's say you post something, even if you post something on LinkedIn and it becomes very polarizing. So one, it's actually not a bad thing because you've learned 2 things. You've gotten a response, which, no PR is bad PR. But you can see, But let's say, but if something's
True.
polarizing, you're going to get clear very quickly on either, okay, this is not resonating, I need to pivot from this, or you're going to say, you know what, this became super polarizing, but I actually now know that the people who like it are my ideal audience. Like that's just another nuance to them. And what can I learn more about them? And how can I figure out like who they are and what they, what did they like about it? Did they like that it was, let's say you put something out there that's, feels a little bit more like aggressive, right? Then, okay, those people who responded, they might think, or you might be like, okay, well, so my audience that's really going to connect with me is into something a little bit more aggressive. They're a little bit more proactive. Maybe you kind of learn from that, but you're not going to kill your business. Like it's okay to put something out there, and you get no response. It really, really is. Yeah,
it's such a vulnerable place to be.
It's so hard. I remember the first time I posted that, oh my God, my year ago Jen was so adorable. When I first posted, hey, I'm taking on new clients, and it's crickets. And I just remember thinking, but everybody else posts I'm taking on new clients and they get responses. What happened to me? Well, first of all, you have to post stuff a lot of times, right? You have to say the same message over and over. And you can find different numbers for how often you have to say something. But also, just because you built it doesn't mean they will come. That was like the biggest lesson I learned about Instagram when I first started using Instagram as a marketing platform. It was like, but everybody else just, they post and they go online and the clients come in, right? That does not happen. That was.
But I think too, to that perspective, it's also your perception and of what you see, and you're not seeing all of the hard work that they've been doing behind the scenes and the 5 years beforehand of building up their audience and their community. We just see where they are right now and then compare what we're doing to what they're doing, and it's so hard to get into that trap.
Right. I mean, plug, I mean, it's not paid, so it doesn't matter, but I mean, that was really the initial impetus for starting the No Apologies Society, right? I wanted a space where women business owners and entrepreneurs could come and not have to, caveat everything they say and just be their authentic selves and have this, safe space, which I need a different term than that, but this community that can support them and where they can feel, they can say things like, hey, you don't have to be perfect, or give yourself some grace. And I opened it this week, and I opened it to women who don't run their own business, just because I feel like many of us need community right now, but no one talks about everything that happens behind the scenes, or very few do. I try to embrace my imperfection all the time.
That's all you can do.
Right? But it's very hard. But it's just, you don't, so just because something doesn't work, and maybe you saw someone else do it and it did work, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's going to hurt your business. It just means that particular time it did not work. You can try the same message again, see if it resonates more, at a different time with a different audience, with a different, spin on it. But again, because it's important, you won't kill your business if you try something new. You won't kill your business if you switch a few things up on your website and see what happens.
Yeah. What I'm hearing from you, and just as to kind of summarize for everyone who's watching, as you try to start to navigate the next couple weeks with this new normal, this is a really great opportunity for everyone to do experiments in their business and test things out in a way that it's not scary to just go for it. I mean, seriously, the worst that can happen, it's not going to burn your business down. Just, I think for us, as business owners, it sounds like we just need to get more comfortable with trying new things and seeing what happens, and not having expectations about what we want to happen, but just to test it out to see what's working and what's not. And I would think too, the
Yeah.
community that you're able to build during this time, they're going to be with you for life. You can use this opportunity to create really, really, really strong relationships with your community and your audience, and among your brand, and have some really great advocates because of how you're showing up today, in such a
Right.
volatile market.
I know.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so
It's
what?
absolutely it.
Nope, go for it. I didn't mean to interrupt
Oh,
you.
I was just
There's
going to
a
say, I
delay.
mean, building relationships now is definitely going to serve you later. And there's nothing to say you can't get on phone calls with people. You can't do Zooms. You can just do, can you do like free 15-minute blah, blah, blah. See just kind of like what people are doing right now. But again, building that strong relationship, absolutely, you're going to get advocates, you're going to get clients. And the other piece too, I read something yesterday, and I'm looking like my internet's up. It's not. I can't remember where it was, but it was talking about the power of referrals and advocates. And so anytime you get somebody refers you to someone else, it's such a higher, it sounds technical, conversion rate, but it's because they've already associated some of that trust with you because they trust the person who referred you.
For sure.
And we've all heard know, like, trust. And now is a great time to also be building trust with your audience and with people. And all of this that I talk about, I think about it really as content. It is marketing. You just might be marketing something that's not paid right now. You're marketing what you bring to the table, what your company brings to the table. You're marketing why people can trust you. And you can market off too, like we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah. Such good stuff. And I'm just thinking, that stared off face, I'm just thinking about
yeah, it wasn't
different things.
Froze for a minute, and I was like, oh, no. Are you there, Kelly? Can you hear me?
And I think too,
can you hear me now?
This is a really good opportunity to try. I mean, we already talked about trying new things, but it not just in your messaging, but also maybe you want to try, kind of to your point of look to see where your audience is, and if they're on a channel that you're not, could be a really good opportunity to start exploring another channel. I've been, as you know, talking about, I've been working on getting my YouTube channel up and running for April, but I'm kind of thinking about maybe I should push it up a couple weeks, just to start something now and see how it goes while people have more time to be scrolling on social media and watching videos and watching like these kinds of trainings. So to everyone listening, this could be a great opportunity to try, something new entirely, not just, in the places that you're already showing up, but show up somewhere else. Two, you had mentioned, which I think is a really great point, of using this time to connect maybe one-on-one with people and offering some free consult calls to get to know your ideal client a little bit better, and understand their needs specifically now. So you could maybe, release a quick, kind of like your coach, release a quick turnaround offer for people right now, but also understanding them on a deeper level for creating a package or a program a little bit farther on down the line that can serve them, because you're spending so much time right now getting to know them.
Right. It's and again, not everybody has clients that come in through a discovery call or something like that, or they don't utilize that. But it's just, you can do it in if you're in Facebook groups, right? You can use that to kind of to talk to people and ask questions and offer advice to kind of get them to be interested in you.
Yeah.
For Instagram stories, it's the DMs. You can put things on LinkedIn, right? Now might be a great place. Say you don't want to do video, but you like to write and you have a perspective on something. Now could be a great time to write a white paper or just a POV on different things. And again, like you said, it's a great time to try it. I mean, you've heard me talk about YouTube. It's like YouTube is a great thing because it's searchable like Google. So for those who haven't heard me preach this at them like you have, right? It's searchable like Google.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great place to store your videos that might get some interest that's not just sitting on your computer, right? And if nobody has any interest right now, fine. But you at least gave that opportunity versus it just like sitting in your laptop taking up time. But it's, create relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on Monday, I was talking about sell with compassion. Today, I'm talking about create relationships. It's actually a good time for that. And I think this week for a lot of people in a lot of states, it hit home hardcore because everybody moved work from home.
Yeah.
So it's, I suspect there's going to be some shifting too, where even if you feel uncertain now, you might feel less uncertain next week because it's not as jarring and shocking. And you've been sitting home, like either by yourself or with a lot of people are talking about how they're working from home and how they have spouses and children running around crazy. But I think we're all going to bounce back. I really suspect that all the people who like work a 9 to 5 in the corporate world, which is just a really nice blanket term, are going to get super bored by next week and they're going to start shopping online like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I just have that suspicion based on consumer behavior and things I've seen before. So try something new. It's not going to hurt, right? And into the same thing I said a little bit earlier, if you don't like something right now, you can kill it. What's the worst that happens? It's the worst that happens, right? If you're super tired of Facebook right now, just keep the lights on. Or Instagram, just keep the lights on. You can like reshare some stories every once in a while or do something. And then what's the worst that happens? You rebuild. You rebuild a following. But if it helps you now to feel better, cut it.
That's such a good point because it can feel, especially when there's so much chaos going on outside, I think it's really important to kind of turn in and figure out what's feeling good for you right now as a person. Kind of, to the perspective of, I see this with my clients when you're excited about your brand, you show up differently. I think the same is with your marketing. When you have clarity around your marketing or you're doing things that you enjoy, you show up so much better and with more enthusiasm and more personality and genuine authenticity. And now I think even more so than ever, it's important to just lean into what's feeling good and doing that and just making sure you're showing up there and staying consistent.
Absolutely. I know consistency.
It's hard.
Absolutely. It is hard. It's, you show up differently. If you and I were talking on Monday when I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I would have shown up a lot. I would have shown up differently. But now I feel like I worked through some of that, a lot of that. And so it's like, I'm here to help. Absolutely. And I have free offers and I have paid offers and both have value. And I'm not afraid to talk about the paid and I'm not afraid to talking about free is easy. But I do, right? You get like Smiley Jen, you get more cheerleader Jen. Because I do feel like I went in, I figured out what it is I wanted to do, and that is now showing up. And it shows up in my content, and it shows up in how I'm talking to people, and in messages or in discovery calls, things like that. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, 100%. So I think as kind of a key takeaway for everyone, it sounds like it's to really figure out use this time to step back and kind of audit your marketing and figure out where you're showing up and how you're showing up, what's working, what's not, and then start leaning into the things that feel good, so that you can show up there consistently. Would you have any other kind of last words of wisdom, tactic, strategy, just parting advice for us today?
I'm thinking. You hear the Jeopardy? I mean, this is gonna sound trite, but this too shall pass, and I do believe that. It's scary right now. It's awful right now. I think this will pass. I think we'll all bounce back, and I would say that for now, I guess that. Oh, it came. The Jeopardy music stopped. However you show up now, I know, right? My brain just was like, boop. However you show up now and whatever you're talking about now, it's setting you up for the future. That does not mean that you have to always be pitching what you're pitching now. Your offers can change all the time. So, I might be talking now about, okay, here's my 90-minute intensive and here are my free, just help you out calls. And then when I feel like it's the right time for me in my business, I'm going to start talking about my higher end investment products, and my message might change a little bit. Right now I'm talking about how can you think about your marketing now and how can you set yourself up for the next chapter. And then my message might start changing more into, okay, let's talk about getting consistent leads, because that's something that is important to me and it's really what I do and try to offer. Let's keep that pipeline full. Let's get you consistent clients. So my marketing message is going to shift, and that's okay. So just know that what you do now, whether it's a week, a day, a month, you can shift into something different in the next chapter. I think that's another thing that has come up. It's like, what can I talk about now? And then what do I do moving forward? And it's okay if like you just shift your message a little bit. You're not shifting who you are, what you offer, most likely. You're not going to be like, hey, I'm Jen. I'm now doing paint by number graffiti, right? Like, it's still going to be marketing. It's still going to be helping female entrepreneurs. A package might change, this might change, that might change, but it's still true to my brand, and true to what I'm offering and who my people are.
Yes. I appreciate that you ended on the branding front. And I think that's important to note that when you have clarity around what your brand is, what you stand for, what those values are, what's consistent with your brand as a personal entity, you're able to shift the message that you're sharing with your community based off of some external factors, but everything is still coming back to your core brand and your brand focus. So I appreciate that you tied that in there. Thank you.
I mean, it's not just like, oh, let me plug Kelly. I mean, I do believe that. I mean, my brand strategy that you did when I started my business a year ago, which looks pretty different than it was. And that brand, though, stayed with me because it's still about my values. It's still about consistency. And yeah, we might change a few things just on base, how I've evolved, but it was also because I started and had no idea what I was doing or where I wanted to go. But when you have that strong brand strategy and that branding, that will give you consistency even when you are talking about something different and offering something different. That gives you a huge, yeah, no, I'm plugging you, but it's true.
You don't have to plug me. I'm just plugging branding.
But I believe it because here's the thing, and we've talked about this one-on-one. When you have a strong brand strategy, that makes your marketing that much more focused and clear and easy to do. Like if you work with someone if you work with someone on their branding and then I take on their marketing, it's like my job is easy, right? Because you set so much up. And so when you have those strong foundations, and yes, not, someone can't do brand strategy now, fine. You have tons of free resources, but when you build that foundation, it just, you keep showing up better, more clear, and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I can't.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
Preach it.
Yeah, so many people.
Thank you. So, where can we find more of you, spend more time with you, because you are just so wonderful? Plug all of the things.
Okay, so really original, easy things. So jenfieldman.com, which I am personally refreshing and figuring out my website right now. But if you just want to know a little bit about me, or you want to check out my cutest mutt officer, that's great. Instagram, so Jen Fieldman, pretty easy. And then on Facebook. So Jen Fieldman Strategy is my business page, and then I've started the No Apology Society. So I think, just put some links in the comments if
Yes.
you're cool with that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So again, please, anyone who's watching the replay, anytime, if you have a question, feel free to comment, tag me, reach out to me any way, shape, or form. I truly am happy to help right now and talk with you, or even just, let's take 30 minutes and brainstorm, what are some things maybe you want to talk about now, or maybe you want to think about your product suite, or whatever you want to do. You got my ear. And I'm sequestered, so please help my little extroverted self out and have Zoom calls with me.
Oh, Jen, you're just the best. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you. I hope this helped people, and they enjoyed my rambling on a cup one of coffee. But yeah, no, thank you, Cal.
All right, guys, have a